You are listening to Within Tolerance, a podcast for machinists by machinists. I'm your host, Dylan Jackson of Pro D Machining. This week, joined as always by my catch-up co-host, Chris Sabatini. What is going on, man?
Oh man, I'm fired up, baby. Per usual, or I guess not per usual, but I'm in New Jersey, so of course I'm fucking fired up with these clowns over here. So I guess since I left you, I was in California, and then I think what did I do? What did we do?
A busy little bee out there too. You were on Chips and Tips. You were
Chips
on
and Tips.
Practical Machinists.
Yeah,
all kinds of fun stuff, man.
Yeah, that was a fun one.
Yeah, they were both really enjoyable.
Yeah, I didn't listen to the Chips and Tips one. I don't think. I'm waiting for yours to come out. And then I'm going to listen to that, which I guess drops tomorrow.
It drops tomorrow. I mean, same day that this will drop, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, shit. Nice.
So, yeah, if you're listening to this and want to hear me ramble on about my backstory for almost 3 hours, I don't know what the edit's going to be, but we recorded for about 3, so.
Yeah. A rant of mine got taken out of the Chips and Tips one.
Yeah, well, it's okay. We can rag on Titan all you want on this podcast.
Yeah. That was a funny one. I was like, I wonder if that's gonna make it in. And then it definitely didn't. I understand why they didn't do it.
Yeah,
so they might work with him or something at some point.
Right.
I mean, Cloud and Sea can't keep going forever, but who knows? So I did. Yeah. So that was pretty successful. Where we kind of left that project off was we got the time saving out, but they were having me make my own first op parts, and I didn't make the first op part well enough, so I had weird first op second op shift. So we left them with a hybrid version is what we're calling it, where we took the next operation and absorbed it into the current operation in their facing program. The fucking program's weird. They face all the parts at once, and then they individually cut each part after that. So once it's faced, it's done. And the reason is just that they're so soft, that the chips will scratch it. So they face in a very specific order. Yeah, it goes front to back, left to right as a single cut. So it shoots the chips into the back corner. So it's they're shooting towards raw parts every time.
That's smart.
Which, it works. Fucking John James, dude. He crushes. I mean, he's not there anymore, but he worked on that for a long, long time. And then we added the slots in it. So I just added the slots to that program and then a deburr path. And now they're running that right now. So they're super stoked. And then they're going to we're going to go back to their original first op parts and then run the new process, and then it should be fine. And then we're waiting basically 2 weeks for the coolant flush collets to come in. Then they can fire it up on the rest of the machines.
Right.
That was cool.
But you also had a problem child there as well.
As a person?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. That was really bizarre. Because, I left, and as soon as I left, tools are, breaking. And it's what the fuck is going on here? It's we couldn't make it. I ran, 30 parts on the same set of tools the whole time. I loaded all the tools and the other ones,
which is
same
300 hours too.
Yeah,
isn't it? Wasn't it 10 hours apart or something?
Well, not it's 10 hours for 6.
Oh, okay.
So it's still but it's still a fuckload of hours of cutting, and so I don't know what the fuck they were doing, but they were it's not lasting 6 parts. It's breaking after 5. It's what the fuck is going on here? And then they just put another one in, and they're it broke immediately. It's was there carbide in it? And they're I don't know. And that was the thing that was the most annoying is I'm not there, and they're well, I need your programs so I can fix it. And it's well, what's wrong? It's well, the tool broke. Okay, how did the tool break? I don't know. They were turning the RPM down 10% on the machine. So it's was it turned down so the chip load was up? I don't know. Is the coolant good? I don't know. What part number was it? I don't know. It's like, cool. You don't need my programs.
Right. Like, how is having the programs going to solve any of that?
Yeah, you don't know. And then also, I mean, that was an interesting one because a lot of the guys that worked there came up to me and they were like, we don't fucking like this guy's programs. We are fucking terrified to run them. Because he just, like, everything that they ran was dialed. Like, when John James was there, things were fucking golden. Like, I mean, he's not the fastest guy in the world and he knows that. But also, like, we were just talking right before this and it's on a kern, but he's like consistently hitting 8 micron fucking wall profile tolerance to 3 datums.
Right.
You know, and he like built these fucking manifolds to like to shoot oil onto the part itself to make sure that the part isn't growing. And like, not that the machine is growing, but just to make sure. So he just like put these, and now he's going to build like fixtures that have cooling channels in it to run coolant through them.
Oh my God.
Cause they can't, like, I mean, it's 8 microns. It might to 3 datums. It might as well just be like perfect.
Right.
And his customer this is the wildest shit he told me, is they had a conversation with their customer. And he's like, yeah, you know, we're getting like 16. We're dealing with some thermal growth issues, but I think we can get it with XYZ. And their customer was like, oh, you're actually trying to hit the tolerance? It's like,
yeah.
You guys are making, then they're making them in house. And he's like, so how are you doing it? And they're like on a Makino F5 or something, which is like a mold and die machine.
Right.
But I don't think, I think that the error in the ball screw just kind of prevents you from being able to hit anywhere close to that tolerance. You know, you have to do it on like a linear machine, which is just out of control.
That's wild.
Yeah. But anyway, so that guy's fucking dialed. He used to be there and shit just like worked, you know, like you'd get a program, it would just work. Like, would it make a good part? That's a different story, you know, but the programs were good.
Right. Yeah.
And this guy's like crashing machines left and right, like wiping out fixtures. And dude, it was wild. Like he was talking shit because these guys, like he fucked the part up and he was talking shit about the setup guys because they couldn't get it off. They had to like pry it off the fixture and it had like bubbled out or whatever. Like, and so he's like, well, just lap it off. And it wasn't a complete part because he fucked it up. And he's like, well, let's put it in QC anyway, so we can get data off of it, which is like, okay. But then my cart, which I'm running T0 parts, he comes up and he's just like fucking complaining, but he has a hand drill in the parts and he's fucking drilling the parts on my cart. And it's like, what the fuck is this guy runs the shop? And it's like, what are you doing, man? Anyway, yeah. And then at the end, we had a meeting and he's like, oh, I just threw together this matrix, whatever. And I talked to Justin about this and he's like, what was going on? This dude was like, the energy was so fucking frantic and made this thing so complicated. And it's this thing of Justin kind of put it into perspective. Like he's making it so complicated and he's coming up with this complicated plan. So then he has to be in the middle of it. And it's like, no, we're not going to do that. Like, we're not going to try and do everything all at once. What we're going to do is like really pare it down. Like, we're going to put the facing programs in all the machines and then we'll run like that. And then I'll work with this guy, the second shift supervisor, because he believes in the project and wants it to work. So those are guys that you want to work with. And he's like, and then we'll just do that. And then I ended up having a conversation with like the GM of that site and the COO that was like, hey, by the way, this is what's happening. And just so you're aware, I'm not going to do what he wants, like, because it's going to fuck things up and the guys don't want to work with him and whatever else. And they called me and they're like, cool, yeah, we agree. And then I think he put in his notice like yesterday or something. And then I got a call from the GM today that was like, hey, so we need some support. Like, we need more support. What can you do for us? And it's like, well,
amazing. Yeah. That's awesome.
So that was, kind of like worked out. It's kind of a weird one of like, these guys, they went away, kind of came back, started talking to them. Like, something that people don't understand about this type of work is like the sales cycle is so long sometimes. I reached out to these guys in like fucking October, you know?
Oh, geez.
And just like, hey, just because at their site in Massachusetts, 2 of the guys that work there live with me and told me about what was going on. So I just like reached out to them and was like, oh, hey, I heard you needed some help. And I went and looked at that, but then they were like, hey, by the way, this thing that you worked on before is kind of firing back up. Do you want to get after that? And we didn't do that until March.
Right.
I mean, it's like 6 months, 7 months or whatever.
Yeah, they call and you're like, who are you? I don't remember. What?
I kind of like cold emailed them and was like, hey, so, project kind of ended funny, whatever. And he called me like immediately and was like, yeah, no, this is cool, sick, no problem. So we just have to like scope better because the scopes were too big and vague, really large and like not dialed in at all. Like the last time we were doing the waveguide stuff, it was like 15 parts trying to do like all of them. And this we pared it down to like, well, we're trying to like change the material and combine operations and change the tooling and get cycle time reduction on like the entire part family. And we were like cranking through it and doing good. Then it just got like into this weird zone of like, well, the parts don't move as much. So what do we do? And blah, blah, blah. Then the whole satellite fucking thing failed. And then we just kind of, the project just died there. Right. So then when we fired it back up, we go, 4 parts, the main part family, T0, your current material, the tools that we picked before, and just try and get we combine the operations and get like a modest cycle time reduction. And that was a manageable bite, much more manageable bite. Yeah. So that happened. Then I went to Reno. That was, I got the van back.
Yeah. So
while I was in California,
Tuck's Garage asked how many people can fit standing in the van now. And Sean Connor asked, maiden voyage to Idaho. So tell us the van update.
So how many people can fit standing up in it kind of depends on what's in there, Like if I take the bed out, we could put a lot of fucking people in there. But the taller you are, like I think like Al Watmo, was he in there? I think he was in there and he could like barely, his head was like touching the top of it. He's a tall guy. So like the tall guys need to stand in the middle because it's like a bubble top. But like I can stand comfortably in there, no problem. You could probably put 10, 20 people in there if you're a clown car in it. It's doable. And then the maiden voyage to Idaho was pretty smooth, I'd say. Like she's a little leaky still. Like when I got but she went over the Sierras, no problem. Got 17, 18 miles to the gallon over the Sierras, which is like pretty solid. A fucking wind blows her around like a bastard though, dude. Like, cause it's so tall now, it's just like, holy shit. But yeah, when I got to the top, the coolant started bubbling out a little bit.
Oh no.
But then when I got to the bottom, when I got into Reno, it was fine.
Right.
And then but other than that, like the drive from Reno to Boise, which is like 6 hours, that was chill. It's cool to be able to like pull over and then just go like lay down in a bed and then for a little bit and then just get back to it. Yeah. So I got pulled over in California.
Dude, that was so funny.
Yeah, and the guy was like, I have Utah plates with a Massachusetts driver's license and I'm in California. And he's like, what's the deal here? It's like, I'm working over there making, satellite parts or whatever. And then he's like, all right, well, I'm going to run this. And he's like, are you on parole or probation? I was like, yes, no, it's just funny. It's like, I'm getting profiled.
100%.
But hey, what are you going to do in that van with this tattoo? Like what else? I can't be surprised. I'm not like shocked by it.
Right.
It's just a funny question to be asked. Yeah. So then, went from there to Reno. made some knives. That was pretty uneventful, really. I mean, other than some like weird like vibey issues, but like other than that, it was like okay. Hung out with my friend Amanda, that was cool, and her kid were fine. And then now I'm fucking back in New Jersey, and this has to be like the worst fucking project I've worked on. I just cannot believe how much of a nightmare it is, all kind of stemming from the fact that they provided the fixture, and it is just such a fucking nightmare to deal with. And like, they're just not very helpful at all. Like, the support is like very minimal. Or if I ask for support, they just question me every fucking thing that I do. Oh, do you need that? It's like, yeah, I need an Allen wrench. And it's like, oh, we have Allen wrenches. Like, oh yeah? Like, I need a 3/8 Allen wrench. And they're like, oh, we don't have those. Like, because the tool crib has 5/16 and 3/16, and that's it. And then people there have stuff, but the guy that's supposed to be helping me like doesn't fucking help me. So
I mean,
he has the
not
tools.
Only doesn't help you, actively undermines you,
dude.
Let's be serious here.
It was kind of like I was like losing my fucking mind, because we got to a point like yesterday that I was ready to, like, I would have had it aligned yesterday. It would have been fine, and cutting parts today. But some fucking asshole came out and was like, oh, as I was shimming it, because it's off, because we've taken this fixture apart like 1,000 times at this point, made new components for it, because we have a riser that we built and an adapter plate for the fucking fixture, and then another like adjustment block on the other side or whatever to like help raise it up some more, because we need to get it off the table. And it's designed to be shimmed. I've talked to the fucking designer of the fixture and the people that use it at their other facility where this fucking fixture came from, and they shim it. And this guy, as I'm shimming it, comes out and he's like, this is fucking fires me up so much, because he's like, this is the thing, is like, anytime somebody hits me with a fucking sir in a work environment, I know they're about to say the dumbest fucking shit that you can imagine, which is like, sir, are you shimming it? And it's like, yeah. And he's like, well, that means it's not in alignment. And it's like, I swear, I was like, no fucking shit, dude. Like, right, what do you think I'm shimming it for?
Yeah.
And he's just like, one of the things I fucking really hate is when it's like, yes, I know. And he just keeps going about how the two sides aren't concentric and whatever. And probably it's the stuff that I made that's wrong and all this other bullshit. It's like, it's off by 15 thou. Like, this side is higher than that side, whatever, but it's off. And I want to shim it because the last time you guys cut the piece, it took fucking forever, and I just don't want to deal with that. And the guy was like, no shims, we're not going to shim it. And it's like, okay, then I'll take it all apart. Get out of my way so I can take this all apart. And so we take it all apart. I get the piece, and I'm like, here, cut 15 thou off of this. The guy walks away, and then he comes back. Not the guy who's telling me to not shim it. His boss takes the piece, walks away, and then they both come back, and he's like, I need to measure it to make sure. And so we fucking spend an hour going through measuring it, and he's like, it's off by 15, so we either need to raise this side 15 or lower that side 15. And it's like, well, we can't fucking raise that side because you wouldn't let me. And like, we can cut this side down 15 like I wanted a fucking hour ago. And he's like, yeah, like you wanted. And then he like, just stormed off. It's like, what the fuck? And I was talking to his boss. I'm like, what the fuck are we doing here, man? Like, you say you need these parts, but you're not going to let me shim the fixture. Why? And he's like, well, what if it moves? And it's like, how? What is the concern? And he's like, I don't know. But Jerry's very experienced, and he says he doesn't want the shims. And it's like, but what's going to happen? Like, what's going to happen? You said you needed fucking parts, man. Like, what's the mission here? And just nothing, you know? So we cut it, but the fixture isn't pinned. It's all just screwed together. It's ground. It's fucking heavy as shit, and it's ground. But there's one pin, one that ties the rotary side to the trunnion side. So, you know, they cut the 15 thou off. We put it back together, and now it's now it's off again. It's further down. So I have to shim it. And they're like, well, what are you doing? It's like, I'm fucking shimming it. And they're like, why? It's like, cause it's off. Like, what do you want me to do? Like, at a certain point, I was like, take it down like 50 fucking thou. I'll shim it. I'll make you another one. I'll make you another one right fucking now and just ship it here. Like, we need to cut parts.
Right.
Like, what are we doing? And that was like, they're like, well, I don't know. It's not my call. It's like, what do you mean it's not your call?
Whose call is it then?
Yeah, I was so mad. And then today, I'm like, hey, so how do we fucking finish this project? You know, we're on week 3 of being on site and I haven't cut a single chip yet. And it's all because of this fucking fixture. And he's like, well, one week is on me. And it's like, what do you mean by that?
Take that times 3, buddy.
He's like, well, the model works in CAD. And it's like, but when I take it apart and put it back together, it's not the same. And we've had to take this apart a lot. So, and this thing is dog shit. Like, if we just redesign the fixture for the rotary that you had before, because, oh yeah, he's like, well, we were promised a turnkey. I was like, I didn't promise a turnkey. Maybe they did, but I didn't. And like, we were promised a fixture. This fixture is not designed for this fucking machine. This is designed for a different machine. So like, and you said you need to standardize, but the machine is different. The rotary is different. The fucking tool holding's different. So like, what are we standardizing here? Why does it need to be this fixture? You know? And like this, we take it apart, we put it back together. We're on our second set. We're on our second rotary, second set of adapters to make it work. And we take it apart, put it back together, and it's different. So like, how is this not the fixture? And he's like, we just need to cut, you know, we just need to cut. And then then we can make an assessment, just total fucking deflection. And then on top of that, I haven't been fucking paid.
Right.
Like, they owe me a lot of money and I'm getting just like fucking really fired up by the day. And I'm like, hey, also, by the way, like, I'm not here next week and I'm booked I'm booked the entire month of April. We were supposed to be done in February, remember? He's like, yeah. It's like, well, I pushed stuff off until April, May for this, and now we're here. And he's like looking at me like, I'm like, that means I can't come back. And I don't want to be here. I told him that. I was like, I don't want to be here. So like, what do we want? What are we going to do? Like, I was like, my suggestion, we do all the cutting development on this machine, right? I do the 9F, I do the 7F, whatever, the 2 operations of each part. We do it all right here. I make all this shit like you guys are paying me to do anyway, allegedly. And then I just ship it up and you have your guys do it. Cause like all day today, while I was aligning the fixture, oh, do you need Jose? Do you need Jerry? Should I go get them? And it's like, no, dude. Why? I don't want their help. They came to the same conclusion I did. It just takes more time.
Right.
Like, and so I was like, at one point yesterday, I was like, do you need me here? Like, should I just go? He's like, no, yeah. It's like, do you just want to figure it out and then just tell me what's going on? I was just like, it mostly comes down to the fact that I'm owed like $40,000 at this point. And it's like, and they're like, oh, you know, well, we just really need to cut. The VP's up my ass and this might mean my job. And it's like,
hope so.
Okay,
yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So what, man? Like this is my whole life.
Right.
So you being all like fucking weird is like, just means nothing to me. I don't care. Like, I don't give a fuck that you're late. Like, because of your fixture, why is that my fucking problem?
Right.
Like, oh, everybody's looking at this like, yeah, you fucked up. What do you want me to say?
Well, and they're telling you 2 different things because they're saying we were promised a turnkey, but then they're also babysitting you like you're some, you know, like
right,
Nepo baby hire that like, you know, the manager hired for some reason.
Right.
It's like one way or the other, like either give me full autonomy to make this work,
right,
or just do it yourself.
Yeah.
Like,
and my suggestion was like, it's like, I don't want to be here. Like at this point, it takes like 2 days. Like the actual process is cut one part, wait 4 days, cut another part, wait 2 days, and then get the measurement. That's like how it actually works at like expediting all those things.
Oh my god!
And it's like, oh, this isn't gonna work. I was like, I told them like, this is a bad project for me.
Mm-hmm.
Like this isn't working. And they fucking asked me if I wanted to do another turnkey at the beginning of this week. And initially I was like, yeah, maybe after this one. And then yesterday I was like, no. I told them, I was like, no, I'm not going to work with you guys beyond this project anymore.
Yeah,
I'm good. Like, this is fine.
It's not worth your time.
Yeah. I mean, I was like, I don't want to work on this project. I will, and I'll finish it, but I don't want to.
Right.
And I'm telling you that, like, this sucks, and working with you sucks.
Ugh.
Which is just very aggressive.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
whatever.
some of the text you sent me that you sent them were pretty funny.
Yeah. Well, the one is like, hey, I have people that want to pay me, like crawling up my ass for work, and I'm here not getting paid working on this bullshit. Like, what the fuck is that? That got a phone call immediately.
Yeah.
You know? Oh, dude, if I had $1 for every time I was told to hang in there, I'd have all my fucking money, you know?
Right. Yeah. Well, before we get off your update, John at the shop had also asked, do you have a shop yet?
We think we signed the lease tomorrow.
That's exciting.
That's what it's going to be. Yeah. The like, we could sign it right now, but essentially what we're negotiating is, or I'm not fucking negotiating anything. Kevin's doing it all, but we want AC.
Yeah.
You know? Like Boise's not too, I mean, it's the fluctuation.
Right.
It doesn't get like Arizona hot in the summer, but it gets fucking hot in the summer and it gets really cold in the winter. So, and we just want to be comfortable. It's like 4,000 square feet. And yeah, we just want AC. So I think we're going to sign like a 5-year lease or something like that to help like amortize the AC is like 15 grand to put in or something like that. It's not a ton of money. I mean, yeah, it's not nothing.
No, but I mean, nowadays it just always shocks me how few landlords like want to put an AC, and it's like you realize how much more you can charge for like an AC shop.
Yeah. The last guys were like, no, it doesn't fit into the long-term plans of our building. And it's like, what? It's like, dude, being in here in the summertime fucking sucks.
Yeah, but they wanted a coffee shop or a brewery, but like, because those people don't want AC.
Yeah, that was so weird. But the shop is cool. It's like 2 shops, you know?
Right, yeah, you told us last week how it had like a split wall in the middle that you're going to have to cut a hole in.
So, no, that was a different place.
Oh,
that was
okay.
Yeah, so that place was like 3,500 square feet, and it was like 1,000 square feet of office, 1,000 square feet in the middle, and then like a 1,500 square foot warehouse space. Like, but it was all AC'd, and then. But there was like a fucking wall with a man door that we were going to have to like cut a big ass hole into. This place is slightly bigger. It's 4,000 square feet and it's like 2 units that they took the wall out of the middle. So we can kind of have like a his and hers type of thing going on
sick.
Where I have like my side and his side with separate panels even.
Right. Separate panels, separate doors, I would imagine.
Yeah.
All that stuff.
So, which is kind of neat. That's cool.
Yeah, that's great.
And like it's the same type of it's like one of a normal deal, like where you have like a little baby shop or a little baby office and like a bunch of space. Right. So I think I'm gonna do like what you guys do though. I like bought the same wheels that you bought, you know. I'm just gonna go desk in the shop, and especially if it's air conditioned, desk in the shop all day.
Yeah.
Office is just like a waste of, I mean, I get my steps in, but sometimes it just gets really annoying to be like, I don't want to walk back to the office.
Right. You're like, this is the 10th tweak this program and I've walked 5 miles today already.
Yeah. It's like, I'm fucking feeling it and I'm doing good, but like, no thanks. But yeah, that's a big one. I'm pretty excited for it because then I can like work on the van and then indoors. I have a bunch of shit. Like right now, it's just so bare bones. It's basically just like a bed. Like, on that note, like with Jim Belosic's question, he saw it. He saw Betty. He was inside of that
really?
bitch.
Yeah. So he asked, "What does he think of those weirdo sheet metal guys in Reno?"
Dude, so yeah, I went out there. I had dinner with Philip and Jim. That was cool. And then I went and saw like the operation at. Dude, the weirdest shit. I've driven by Send Cut Send probably 100 times. Easy.
Oh, really?
Like from my friend's apartment to Town Cutler, it's right there. Like I drive by that fucking bitch all the time. Didn't know.
Just had no idea.
Well, they don't have like a big sign. It's like on the door, but I'm like, oh, they got a robot. Like there's just they have this cool like fucking 6-axis industrial robot like on the lawn. I was like, oh, that's interesting. They must do some automation in there. And I just never I just kept driving and driving. And then I pull in and I'm like, oh fuck, dude, I know exactly where I am. That place is, it's pretty fucking dialed, dude. Like I was very impressed. Like really it's the simplicity of it all. Like the like traveler router thing, it's like a single sheet and it's like do this initial, you know, like very, very like bare bones. And just like a bunch of dudes, like Jim, he likes dudes. Dudes are automation,
right?
And it just fucking works, you know.
Yeah.
Like it was incredibly impressive what they have going on there.
They have that new Fusion plugin too that just came out.
Yep.
And I was playing with that, and I texted Jim how great it was because I ordered a bunch of stuff this week, like a new dosatron mount, I made these little like L brackets to hold 52 millimeter vices just on my tables.
Oh, cool.
And then something else. Oh, a grate to like put over filter paper for the Speedios.
Yeah.
So that was
sick.
But it was like so easy to just like export it from Fusion now, and I don't have to like send it out and then import it into Send Cut Send and wait for it to upload and all that stuff.
Yeah. So they're probably gonna be like what Plethora wanted to be, essentially.
Right.
Like Phil is such an interesting dude.
Yeah.
I love that guy. Jim and I have very similar personalities. He's just like a fucking crank it out, baby.
Right.
You know? So excited to see what they have going on. Like Phil gave me a tour of Hamilton, you know?
Oh, really?
Not this time, but like, yeah, this can stay in. But like I got a tour. He gave me and Galen, the Town Cutler guy, a tour of Hamilton on a weekend. So it was just us in there, the three of us. And that's another place that's just fucking nuts, dude.
Yeah, I bet.
Like, I mean, 21 Mams is out of control by itself. But then every fucking Mam, every pallet has Lang shit on it is also just fucking nuts. It's like, there's so much money in there. And he's like, you know, we're cranking out like 25,000 parts a week. And you're like, jeez, what the fuck, dude?
Yeah. With all those Swiss machines running too, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Like they're just dumping parts.
Yeah. The Mams are going. That's a crazy cool operation. But no, the weirdos in Reno they're sick. Those are my people. I like them. Like I said, like I like going there because I get to hang out with my friend and fucking hang out with Phil and I guess Jim now too. We're boys, obviously.
That is how awesome. It works. So lots more time in Reno upcoming then, for sure.
Yes. Yeah.
Awesome. And then that brings us to now then, right? You're in Jersey, hopefully wrapping up sometime soon, I guess.
I'm gonna cut some parts tomorrow, you know? And then that's it. The wildest thing is like, I mean, I knew the casting was expensive, and he's like, we have 4 scrap parts over there to play with. He's like, those castings are $36,000 a piece.
See, that's what's wild to me is like, I didn't know that they were that expensive, but I knew that they were going to be expensive. And for them to just be like, just start cutting when it's not good is insane.
Yeah.
Absolutely insane.
It is wild.
Yeah, absolutely. Ugh, that bugs me too.
I'm like, I'm so over this. Like, I've been ready to like walk away from this project for like, since yesterday for sure. Like Tuesday was like fine, but then I don't know, I fucking snapped. Like I just hit an absolute breaking point. And I was thinking like, oh, I've just been on the road a bunch. I haven't been doing, because I've been away from Boise, I haven't been able to do like therapy or anything. And like fucking Justin Gray of Toolpath has spent more time at my apartment this month than I've spent at my apartment this month because he made a trip out to Boise.
Right. Oh, yeah. That's frustrating, man.
And I'm like, oh, that's it's just getting to me, you know? And I can recognize it. And I'm still, I mean, like I noticed it. I'm still fucking fired up, and I've just been very aggressive with companies, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like a company that I don't want to work with anymore is a really good one to be really aggressive with.
Right.
To be like, well, let's see how this goes. Like, what are they going to do? Fucking fire me off the project? Good.
Oh, no.
You.
I'm going home.
Yeah. Oh, no. Yeah. Darn. Yeah.
Damn, dude. Damn.
Yeah. So that brings me to now. And here I am.
Cool. Cool.
Yeah.
And you? Since we talked last, let's see.
Like an hour ago.
Huh? Well, since we talked last on the podcast.
Yeah. I'm slapping my knee, baby.
We've been cranking out parts. You know, my paternity leave is just getting closer and closer. And so it's been a lot of just getting as much done as we possibly can before then, kind of letting our customers know that our capacity is going to be a little reduced. I guess I'm dropping the lead. We bought HyperMill this week. Yep.
Yeah, fucking insert the air horns here, brother.
So I had first day of training today, which was great.
Was that with Uday?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Nice.
Uday is awesome. And today was mostly just like CAD stuff. And it's like, it's so like such a weird dichotomy because like they're CAD tools for machinists. Like they're very clear about that when they're training you and stuff. And when you're using them to make stuff for when you're machining, they are so powerful. Like I could not believe how cool some of the stuff was. And then when you're like just trying to draw like a simple box or something, you're like,
yeah,
all right, I'll do this in Fusion if I have to make any like serious fixtures.
That's how HyperMill was described to me before, was like 5-axis toolpaths. It's like makes it so incredibly easy. If you want to fucking drill a hole, good fucking luck.
Right.
You know? I mean, it's good at that now, but like, it's like, it makes incredibly difficult things extremely easy. And then things that should be like no brainers, just slam dunks. It's like, no.
Right.
Just don't worry about it.
Well, like today, you know, we're doing CAD stuff and you want to patch every hole on a part. It's one button. Like you're like patch holes, click the model, boom. There's a patch surface over every single hole.
Yeah.
Like amazing.
That is cool. Yeah.
Like the selection tools are really, really cool. Like you can use colors and layers to separate stuff out. And then you can select stuff based on like a million different categories. So like the training model today was like a tombstone for a horizontal. And he was like, oh, if we want to select like every single M3 on this tombstone, you just go into these selection filters and you're like, 236.2 hole is what I want. And then hit like, go or whatever. And it just grabs every single one. You're like, yeah, cool. That was easy. You color them or whatever. And then you could apply templates later to that. And healing surfaces is super easy. Extending surfaces is super easy for 3D stuff. All of that was really amazing. Like I'm
being
really
it like the fuck, what do they call it? The like butate or mute, like I can't remember what the operation is called or the job, where you can basically turn like any toolpath into a 5-axis toolpath.
Oh, 5-axis rework.
Yeah, which is like a crazy sounding job or a toolpath, but it's like that thing is so cool. I wish Fusion had that. I wish anything had that, because it's like, well, I want to 3D this, but then make an axis around that as a cylinder because it's a cylinder, and then it's like, oh yeah, you got it, boss, and it just does it. virtual machine is fucking crazy powerful.
I mean, that was really the thing that pushed me over the edge. So I had been, in my limited knowledge, programming a part that I'd already run in Fusion that was very 5-axis intensive, like a kind of a mold type part in HyperMill. And then they gave me access to a C400 demo virtual machine. And like this thing took me, I think the runtime was 5 or 6 hours, and I probably spent another 4 hours simulating and calculating on top of it.
Fuck.
Calculation took like a few minutes, maybe 5 or 10 for all of the toolpaths. Loaded it into virtual machine. It takes 1 minute to post into virtual machine. And then collision detection took another minute, 14 seconds. And then when you're running like live 5 full machine sim in Fusion, it kind of locks up and like is very stuttery.
Yeah.
It is buttery smooth in HyperMill. I could click to anywhere in the timeline and hit go, and it would load for 10 seconds, and then it would be right there. The stock would already be displayed how it was supposed to, and it would be running the toolpath again. I'm like,
nice.
Cool. So my biggest bottleneck in 5-axis programming is now going to be gone. So, yeah.
Perfect. Cool.
Yep.
That's exciting. I'm super pumped. I mean, it's nice. It's nice that like you locked it in. It's done.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
And you can become an evangelist like the other boys.
I'm just really stoked. Like working with them has been great. Kevin, you introduced me to him, or like, dropped his name before IMTS, I think.
Yep.
And that was the first time Kevin and I met. He is just fantastic. Like he is one of the lowest stress salesmen I've ever met. And just like super even keeled. And it's just like, you know what? I just want you to like feel comfortable in this and your success. And like he even said, we were talking about like training and figuring out how much to buy and all that stuff. And he was like, this is going to be like a decade commitment from both of us. So like, I want you to be happy. I want you to know what you're doing and getting into and all that stuff. So yeah, it's been great.
Yeah. It's like he has like the confidence of a guy that just like, he's got his sick. He knows his product is fucks. And so he's just like, yeah, no problem.
Right.
Whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. So tomorrow I've got more training. Monday I've got more training. And then the 7th, I think, I've got a 5-axis class.
Oh, cool.
That one's going to be like a group dealio, but
nice.
Yeah, I'm super excited. Like I definitely think that there's still going to be like we're still going to use Fusion for the brothers because like it's just dead simple and we're not doing any full machine sim or anything like that. But I think for the 5-axis stuff, especially as we look towards a HS Flex, like we just need to be able to program stuff and fire it off and not worry about anything and not sit there and run through full sim and just wait on it and stuff like that.
And like watch your fucking simulation like a hawk,
Yeah. So yeah, it's really going well. Like I really am stoked on some of the tools that I saw today. Some of it I was like, okay, I'm definitely gonna be drawing that in Fusion. Like we had one of the things was like drawing just like a 2D item and then extruding it and making it a solid and turning that into a parametric sketch, which they call V sketches, and that whole thing is like
it's not a very dialed in workflow like whatsoever.
No, coming from any kind of parametric CAD, you think you'd be upset with it, but if you're just using it to like make parametric stock or something, who cares? It doesn't matter.
Right.
Easy peasy. And all the tools are just so good. Like there was 3 tools that we ran through at the beginning that are just like model prep ones that just like go over and they look for duplicate surfaces and let you delete them immediately. And then they look for holes in your model and let you heal those immediately. And
then the last one like changes the like surface normal.
Yeah.
So that all the surfaces are like pointing out. So it doesn't try and do some like weird like, oh, well, I'm going to cut this from the inside type of thing.
Or just fail, like, which is probably what it would do. So yeah, it's great. It's really cool. Yeah. And besides that, that's really it. Like Brad's been cranking. I think that he's going to do fine for the few weeks that I'm out.
Cool.
And
we love that. Has he been you've been working with him on the Hermla?
Not really. We just haven't had time. But he is like, we're getting to the point where it's finally not below freezing in Milwaukee. So I think we're going to schedule his training shortly here.
Yeah.
And then Kevin O'Neill from HyperMill came by and we went over the HS Flex like pallet system, how we want to spec out the different shelves and what size pallets and all of.
What did you decide to go with?
What I think it is, and I need to go back through all of my 5-axis parts to date and make sure that the stack up doesn't violate this, but I think we're going to do 4 shelves. 2 shelves will have 5 pallets each that are 320 by 240 with a max height of 265 millimeters from the pallet face. 1 shelf will have 3 or 4. Sorry, so 2 will have 5, and then the other 2 will have 4 320 square pallets.
Nice.
And one of those shelves will still have that 265 limit, and then the top shelf has, it's not unlimited, but it's like 500 or 600 millimeters because that's open to air.
Yeah, I was so out of control when you said that. I was like, that's such a weird thing. It makes sense, because you're like you say, you're limited by the door, and the door's fucking huge. But it's just like, it's just wild that it's like, oh, you got a little bit, then you got a fucking all of it, like 600 millimeters. Holy shit.
Yeah, so I think that's what we want to do. Like it gives us the most density while giving us a fair bit of variability as well. Like that gives us 18 pallets in one storage module, and then we can still add another storage module down the road if we need more.
Right. Sick.
Yeah. And that kind of takes us to here. First day of training was today. It was good. More tomorrow, all that stuff. Let's jump into some questions. Doug from the Patreon says, for both of us, how do you learn the best? Is it reading, listening, watching, flailing about until you crash something? So what's your learning method?
I think it's interesting. So I think I learn best by doing, but I will get ideas and everything from like watching or reading or listening or whatever, and then it's like, like you get like kind of a spark from that, and then it's like I'm going to implement, and then, you just kind of just like brute force your way into that. And depending on like how challenging it is am I doing a bad job because I don't understand it, or because I'm not good at this, or what's the deal, and like navigating that way. But I would say I'm a firm believer, like I say all the time with like training, like I won't train unless there's a part to cut, because that's when all the questions come, is when you start cutting parts, because we learn from doing, and like you're going to learn everything when you start doing stuff. So yeah, I think I learned from flailing essentially.
I think that like if I'm headed towards something that I know I'm going to need to learn, like HyperMill, or when I went out to HyperMill training, what I like to do is front load a lot of reading and looking at videos and all of that stuff, knowing that I don't know what I don't know at that point.
Right.
And just kind of gathering the layout, the lay of the land as far as where the knowledge is. And then I love watching somebody do it, because I've always been pretty good at picking up like the unsaid things. Like they'll be like, oh, I do this. And I'm like, oh, and you also just did that.
Yeah.
Like you did that little thing with your hand to hold the part down. They're like, oh yeah, I guess I'm doing that too.
Yeah.
And then that gives me the space to like know where to go back to my reading material and find those answers again. Like I know I've read enough of it. I'm like, oh, okay, I remember that section that had that little bit of information that I need now. But
nice.
I don't think it's like one thing that I would say maybe listening is my worst one. Like I do like a visual of some sort, whether that's reading, watching videos or seeing it in person. His other question was, what are the best methods for business leaders, managers, and executives to overcome the challenge of communicating with their employees who all learn best in different ways?
That is very interesting question. I would say like the biggest challenge that it's easy to communicate with people when things are going like well. It's the communicating with them when things are like getting fucked up and like being able to have like the more difficult conversations. But in terms of like the different learning styles, like Easton and I were kind of talking about this earlier this week. It's like everybody has I mean, it's so fascinating to think like everybody has a different style of learning, you know? Like there are some people that do this that like they won't do anything until they know everything they can, you know? So they need to like sponge it up, which sucks. Sometimes like for an employee like an employee for me, that would be a nightmare. Like if I have to like really like fucking pump information into you, like that's tough if you can't like actually like self-start. But that's also why I've kind of like changed my employment model a little bit, you know. The other aspect of it beyond like learning styles is learning capacity, if that makes sense. Like I'm not going to be able to turn everybody in this industry into myself, you know?
Yeah.
Like, but that being said, like there are people that are going to do certain aspects of what I do better than I could do them, you know, just from like potential exposure and whatever. But and like, so the challenge there, the number one challenge is getting to that information of how they learn and how much they can learn as quickly as possible. And then finding a way to like test, like quote unquote test retention, if that makes sense. Because I've trained a lot of people. It's like, yeah, I don't need to write shit down, or I don't need to do this, or I don't need to do that. And like, it's like, no, I got it. And it's like, cool, have at it, you know? And then they're just like, they're fucking cool guys until they're in front of the machine and they're just like they can't fucking do anything all of a sudden. And it's like, brother, like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
So,
well, I would say like over communicate too. Like I know at past jobs where I was responsible for training people, I would make many different types of media. So like I would make a instruction sheet with pictures. I would have them or me video the process to keep on their phones if it was something they were going to do often.
Yeah.
And then I would show them. And so like it was just like, okay, how many learning styles can I give you access to so that no matter how you learn, there's something for you. You like pictures on a piece of paper with text? There you go. You got that. Here's your instruction sheet. You need me to walk you through it a couple times? Sure, I'll do that. But like, unfortunately, it's a lot more work to have to do all of those things, but it really helps, I think, kind of. Nobody can complain that they're not learning their best way when you just kind of hit as many as you can.
Right. Yeah, the over communication thing is so key. Is like, just say it, even if you know it, they might not know it, kind of thing. Like something that's obvious to you who does it all the time, it might not be obvious to them, right?
Right.
And I guess and then the managers and executives and whatever I found this a lot with managers that I've had in the past and like and management at other companies. Like, for instance, on this fucking project that I did in California, like I was giving them an update like every single day, right? Like, or more or less, like I think 4 out of the 6 days I was there, I gave them an update at the end of the day, telling them what I did and what I was going to do, because we were on a pretty tight timeline and doing kind of a lot of shit. So it's like, and there was a lot of moving pieces. So I was like, this is what I'm doing. I submitted this, blah, blah, blah. Like I'm moving on to this. Like, this is what happened, et cetera, et cetera. And then even with that, they were like, oh, we didn't actually measure anything, you know? And like, we don't have the data necessarily. We got the data and it's like, we saw the shift and like, there was like definitely a first op, second op shift that was kind of fucking the parts up, but otherwise they were pretty good and yada, yada. It's like, so to that, like there's 2 things there. One, from my point of view, it's like, do your fucking job. It's your responsibility to measure these fucking things. The other one is like from the other aspect of it is like, if you're not sure if somebody's doing something, again, just like check. It's like trust and verify kind of thing. Like, hey, I sent this to you. Did you get it? It's like, say it back to me, or like, say it back to me, or like, can you confirm you got it? Like, same thing. Like when you get like people send you POs, fucking confirm you got that PO. Right. Because then that's like, now they can start essentially so that they can start the clock on your ass, and same thing. It's like, hey, I sent this. Can you acknowledge that you got this, so that we can keep things on the rails type of situation. Nobody can read your mind, and nobody's going to read your mind. So yeah, totally. Get after it.
All right. We've got from Instagram, Second Gen Machinist said he's starting to see an influx of RFQs with extreme quantities. How would you recommend a U.S. manufacturer who is typically used to short-run production, less than 100 pieces, to go about efficiently and effectively taking in some of this work? They're a nice size shop with 10 mills. They run 2 shifts with room to grow and automation. So how would you approach that kind of stuff?
Initially I would approach it exactly how they would if it was like 100 pieces, which might not be the sexiest answer, but if it's that many parts, there's 2 things there. When do you depending on when you need to get the first parts to them versus when you need to hit full production? Because if they need parts right away, just kind of do it how you normally would do it and get it running, especially if you're not locked into a copy exact situation where you can just fucking fire it away. And then once you're running, now you kind of buy yourself some time to optimize the process and give you your quote unquote forever process. But it takes a lot of stress off the situation if you already have something in place to make the parts, like a process, for not super high quantities, to just get cutting, and making stuff, and then being able to really think about your process, and what your pitfalls are going to be from what you would normally do. Because you don't want to. I don't think it's a good idea to completely revamp how you think about things, depending on you're running 2 shifts. It's a lot of philosophical change and a lot of change management to deal with in that aspect. If you're we've never used Mighty Byte fixtures before, and now we're going to all Mighty Byte fixtures on both shifts with fucking torque wrenches and all this other shit because this is the most efficient way to do it, which it might be true, but you get it running, you get people familiar with the process, or with the parts, and what to look out for, what not to look out for, and you might find a better way than you would have if you sat down for 3 weeks and just sketched it out,
Right.
I always say just getting to the cutting, and then you find out what's wrong, and then you can kind of go from there.
So and to clarify too, the opportunity that he was talking about is they had an opportunity that would start with 20,000 assemblies for 2026 and 50,000 by 2028. So going from less than 100 to 20,000 next year.
Yeah. And I would still probably just cut one,
right,
just to get a feel for it. Especially if you have 7 to 9 months, then you really don't have that big of a rush. Just cut apart. I don't know what it looks like, but cut apart, in just the most cowboy fashion you possibly could think of, and be all right, well, this sucked, that sucked, this didn't suck. When we took material off this, we didn't like that, so we're not going to do that. We got to fixture it for the first op like this, the second op like that, kind of thing. And but yeah, 20,000 is a fucking ton. Though.
Yeah. So a few things that I will touch on outside of the actual machining.
Yeah.
He was mentioning that this is an aerospace part. 2 things. Right. One, find out the payment terms and how they're managing their inventory.
Right.
A lot of these aerospace companies are starting to try to push or force their suppliers into VBI, vendor-based inventory, which means they'll order 20,000, you'll make 20,000, and they'll sit on your shelf until they decide to consume them. And then the clock, and a lot of these companies are like net 90 or net 120. The net 120 starts when they consume it. So they might be like, okay, make 20,000. Okay, we want 100. Okay, we want another 100. Okay, we want another 100. Like, and that kind of stuff, if you're used to 100 pieces and getting paid in net 30 or net 60, like that could sink a company very easily if you have hundreds of thousands of dollars in inventory sitting on your shelves.
Yeah, I get that shit really cheap.
Yeah. And then also looking at the QCs that are flowed down with these parts, because, you know, a lot of aerospace stuff has frozen processes. So like you have to decide up front how you're going to do 20,000 assemblies.
Right.
And it's locked in after you make the first run. Like they come and do source inspection, and then they're like, all right, you cannot move the machines that these parts are made on. You cannot change the tools, that the tool holders. You cannot, you know, it better be, you know, if you got a guy running them at 803, they better be running at 803 every day, like that kind of stuff. So
copy. What'd you call it?
QCs, just like
QCs,
quality control clauses that are flowed down.
Gotcha. Yeah.
I think a lot of that stuff in aerospace can really sink the project.
Exact. Dude, it sucks. Like copy exact is just such a fucking nightmare to deal with, because it's like, well, I mean, we dealt with it all the time at South Bay when it's like, why the fuck are we making the part this way? If we did XYZ, it would be like, we could probably cut hours off of this thing. Like, well, that's how we did it. It's like, so we're fucking hosed? Like, that's it. And or you can like go back to them and be like, hey, can I change it? And then they'll be like, sure. But now you have to like, now you start to like, you enter into that cycle again. And it's such, you just open yourself up to scrutiny.
Yep.
That's, I mean, yeah.
We had one at a job, an older job that I had that had a frozen process, and they wouldn't even let us move a machine that was only doing roughing. Like it left like an 1/8 inch of stock on every single face. There was not a single piece of finished metal that came out of that machine, and we wanted to move it like 6 feet to the right to fit a new machine in next to it. And they're like, nope, not unless you want us to come out and do source again and do a whole process change, and it's going to take 3 months. And it was like, okay, thanks.
Yeah, and that's where people will just do it and then kind of cross their fingers, which is not recommended, you know?
I mean, I wouldn't.
Yeah. That's where, and that's kind of where you get into the, like what I was saying, like you just cut 1 or 2 cowboy as fuck, like under the table, so to speak, just to get an idea of like what it's going to be like, and then build your process around that. And then you lock in.
Yeah. For sure. Lone Wolf Precision asked, would you rather have 2 older machines fully tooled up or a newer machine with limited tooling? The situation is aluminum and steel, small volume parts, 100 to 500 part runs. Newer one has TSC and full probing. Older ones have tool setters. Pros of the older one is it's paid off and lower payments versus, you know, new one would have payments. So.
Tough one, you know, like more spindles are better. How old are they? How clapped are they? Kind of thing. Like fully tooled is nice. Probing is really nice. You know, that's a sick feature, but that's like I had an old machine and I don't anymore. I mean, I still technically have it, but it's going to be gone like very soon.
Right.
Cause it has become, it just reached a point where it's more expensive than, it was more expensive to fix than to put a down payment on the Haas. And so, and then I was like, well, do I keep it and whatever? And it did its job, but it did its job for like 2 years. And now it's going out to pasture, you know, the rigger's going to take it away and scrap it and whatever else. So there was an advantage because I bought that machine for like $6,000 and I made a bunch of money with it. But then I ended up buying a new machine anyway. So the warranty is nice, not having to worry about it. Don't know what the new machine is, but like at this moment, I'm kind of partial to the new machine just because it's kind of like, it's thoughtless. You're not like, I mean, you dealt with this, right? We've talked about this before, like with the kitty. Like you're relying, your whole business is relying on this thing that may or may not turn on tomorrow. And that's nerve-wracking.
Yeah. I mean, like that's the thing is I'd love to say like, oh, good older used machines are great. I built my business on one, but like I made this decision. I had an old brother and an old Kitamura, and guess what I walked away with? A new brother. Like it was like, I wanted a new machine. I wanted something with service. I wanted something that like you could get parts for easily. I didn't have time anymore to be troubleshooting my machine. I just needed to be making parts. So
yeah.
And that kind of dovetails into this next one from DLH, who said, he knows you had an older Matsura and now bought a new Haas. He needs a machine to do fairly low precision parts, but run 24/7. So his question is, can an older but good condition MAM 72 3VS 40 pallet make sense compared to a newer UMC 500 or 750 with some automation attached?
Yeah. And I don't want to sit here and be that guy that's like, don't fucking buy an old machine. Like if it makes, it's really, really hard to say, like, if you're between like an old MAM, which is going to be good, and a brand new UMC, like just from a money standpoint, I'd probably just take the UMC with the automation. Especially if you go with Haas automation, like you're going to finance it. The financing's good. The machine is good. It's just going to fucking work. I'm assuming you're using Fusion. So like you don't have to worry about a post. It just works. Like it takes this decision. Like it makes working with the machine and a huge aspect of your business. It makes it kind of thoughtless. You don't have to like worry about a lot of shit. It just works. It'll just work.
Yeah.
And that's,
I'm right there with you. So a 3VS, assuming it might even be the one I just found on KD Capital that he's talking about, which is a 2001. So it's a 24-year-old machine now. And I think the thing that is, it's kind of obvious, but like you don't really think about it when you're looking at used machines, is the service doesn't get any cheaper the older the machine is. If anything, it gets more expensive, as you found out with yours.
Right. This is the exact year that I had,
Right.
Yeah, it's fucking huge.
It looks rode hard and put away wet too, if it's the one on KD Capital.
Yeah.
Like the platter looks pretty nice. The spindle housing looks pretty nice, but if you're doing low tolerance stuff, like just think even in terms of spindle. Like if your spindle goes out, it's going to be what, $6,500 from Haas versus 12 grand for a Matsura, 18 grand, something like that.
Yeah. I kind of with you there. If it's this machine, unless it's like free, I think I would be more comfortable with the UMC. Like anytime kind of someone brings up used machine or Haas, it's like the Haas financing is so good. Like it's basically free money, like you're going to obviously spend more in the long run, but it'll just fucking work. It'll work for dude, the VF4 was $116,000 for the fucking tooling cert. I pay $1,500 a month for it. I've made my first year's payment on this GE job. One whole year worth of payment in like 2 weekends. Like it's chilling. Like if you want to, like if you really, really want to do it, but like, and old Matsuras are good, but like, yeah, if the tool changer on that would be better because it's the robot style, with the wine rack and everything. But
and if he has to run 24/7, you just don't have time for downtime.
No,
like you will lose your ass just in the downtime on an older machine, because it's not like a when, or not, it's not an if, it's a when. Like it's guaranteed to have issues. There's just not a chance that a 24-year-old, not only a 24-year-old CNC, but a 24-year-old CNC that has likely been running 18 hours a day for 24 years. Like,
yeah,
it's not going to go well, I don't think.
Yeah. Just buy the Haas.
Yeah. But he says that he wants you to come out to Texas to optimize the process. They've got good tacos.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, I'll go anywhere. I don't care.
There you go.
I'm down.
All right. Sledgehammer Manufacturing asked, how should someone hold a vendor accountable for being late on delivering? I'm currently waiting to run my Hermla, but the post is 2 weeks late. At this point, I've been waiting 6 weeks since the PO was placed.
That is the age-old question, brother, because they kind of have you by the balls. I don't really have this figured out very well, if I'm being honest.
I mean, if you paid with a credit card, just threaten a chargeback at this point.
Right. Oh, that's a good one. Yeah.
That's what I would do. I'd just email your contact and say, you have until the end of this week, or I'm going to issue a chargeback through my credit card company.
Yeah.
I'll go somewhere else for my post.
Yeah. That sucks. It's just, I don't know. I've dealt with this before, and it's super hard because, like, what can you do? You know, what can you do? You're just like stuck. They're like, hey, sorry, this is something that I don't really like. I don't get, like, I don't know who his vendor is, but like 6 weeks for a post seems like an awfully long time.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Like, what are they doing?
Right. Yeah, that seems insane to me too. All right. Yeah. Our friend Daryl asked, dialing in small shop workflows, standardized tools, work holding models, toolpath templates, record keeping. Being able to make money on parts is one thing, but having a shit show of a mess that no one sees because it's too embarrassing to admit is not rare or unheard of at all.
A lot of question marks. Yeah. Yeah. So what's the question here? Is it,
I guess, tips just on dialing in a workflow?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, same as always, just like build a tool, save the tool. Build a tool, save the tool. If it stays in the machine, like maybe you give that like the tools that stay in the machine have their like regular numbers, then you give the special ones like in Fusion like a 3, like I think Servant does like plus 1,000 or plus whatever depending on material if it's not set up. And so you just like have like a bunch of libraries, like just build a tool, save a tool, build a tool, save a tool. Same thing, like, oh, I do this same thing over and over and over again. Like highlight, right click, save as template,
Yeah.
And then you just adjust and adjust and adjust and dial it in and dial it in and dial it in. Like again, the biggest tip is just fucking do something. Do anything. Like, is it going to be perfect? No. But like doing anything will get you into the zone. Then all of a sudden you'll be like, oh, I fucking hated that I did this. And then you'll iterate and you'll iterate and you'll iterate because you'll get annoyed with yourself as opposed to having to like, the whole reason you do it is so you don't have to do the same things over and over again. So you find out like, oh, I don't like that I do this and I can get rid of it by doing that. Right. Boom, boom, boom.
Well, and I think you brought up an important point there. And I think Brad talked about it on your episode of Impractical Machinists of like, don't make it a heroic effort. Make it something that's just part of your process. So like every part you program, take 10 minutes and save a couple tools that you like that are new, or save a template for something that you do all the time. Like if you put it in your mind as like, I need to dedicate 10 hours over the next 2 days to do this, you're never going to do it.
No, yeah, that's what it's like. You just do it while you're doing what you normally would do, Like, it's like, oh, I'm programming a part. I just gotta, like, instead of using the default tool holder, I will go to the website and download it and put it in. And now I have that. It's done. And it's kind of like one of those things. I use this holder all the time. It's done forever. It takes 5 extra minutes, like right now, if that. But now it's done. And you just do like little bits and pieces and chunks always.
Yeah, I completely agree. And then also, much like work holding items, nothing is sacred. Like, just be ready to tear apart anything at any moment. Like, oh, that template is not working. I'm just going to rebuild it and save over it. It worked
exactly
2 out of 10 times. That doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah. 2 out of 10 times is better than 0 out of 10 times it did its job.
Right.
Like, now we need to up it. Yeah, exactly. Kill your darlings or whatever. And like, it's the continuous improvement mindset, right? Like no system is ever done. Like, I mean, every software company continues to release fucking updates to their software as times change,
right,
for better or for worse, right? Like we deal with that with Fusion, and like same thing needs to apply to your system. Like just constantly be willing to change it.
Yeah, ABC, always be changing.
Oh fuck! Damn, that's hot. That's the fucking dude. That's the title right there.
There you go.
ABC, always be changing.
Always be changing. Yeah. Alrighty, man. Well, let's get to the last questions then. What is a business metrology cam tip trick of the week that you got?
Dude, I have not. I think this is the longest I've used my laptop this week.
Really?
Right now. Yeah. Because I've just been deep in this fucking fixture. So I haven't really done hardly any programming. Like I've done a little bit, like, but like truly what I was doing is like, I was doing simulation for like one of Chuck's programs. Like, cause he's doing some contract, like this is a different guy, but like Chuck is, who runs the machine back in Idaho, he'll also, like when it's not running, he's helping me do contract programming in Fusion. So he's like, hey, but he doesn't have cam plate, so he just does it and then I simulate it. So that was it. Like, I'm trying to think of, the business tip or trick is just like the one that I have that's worth anything is just hold the fucking line, you know? I guess that's what I was screaming like about with Ethan, right? Which is when he reached out to me about stuff, and it's like, just hold the fucking line, you know? Like if you're doing well and you're making money and somebody comes to you and they're like, hey, I want to work with you. And you're like, cool, this is what I pay. This is what the parameters are. And they're like, that's too much. Sorry.
Right. It is what it is.
Like, yeah, like that's it. It's like, well, what if I guarantee whatever? Cool. If you guarantee a fuckload of it, like, sure, but I want a bunch of the cash right now. Right. And if that's also no, then it's like, then no. Like, it's simple. Like, and it's scary to like, but I mean, that kind of dovetails into like the next episode we're going to record, the book club episode, which is like, that's like basically what Never Split the Difference is, which is just like, stand firm, bitch.
Right.
Like, just say no and fucking watch and just look at them. And they're either going to go for it or they're not. Most of the time, like, you're going to get what you need. Maybe not what you want, but what you need out of the situation, which is like, if it's a fuck deal, somebody's trying to fuck you with, like, not fuck you, but like they're lowballing your ass, but it might be cool work. Like you might do a bunch of cool work, but now you're fucking bogged down doing a bunch of cool work for no money and fucking yourself on other opportunities. Or
not that that's happening to you right now or anything.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. Yeah. I mean, that's just huge. Or like you just end up, you can put yourself into like or like you do that, or you say no, and then they come back and maybe they go away and then they come back and they're like, hey, so turns out we tried to get it cheaper. Can't fucking do it. So can you just can we hire you? And when you're in that position, dude, that's the fucking spot. Cause it's like, oh, now it's not 200 an hour. Now it's 300 cause I'm busy.
Yeah, exactly. All right, I've got two. One is going back to what Daryl asked about as far as small shop workflow. And this one came up when I was talking to Justin at PDX CNC, and he was asking me about tool libraries. And I just he was like, oh, I kind of want to rebuild mine. This is what mine looks like. It's kind of a mess. And I sent him a picture of mine, and I was like, it's not really that much better. And he was like, wait, there's folders in tool libraries? And there is.
Yeah.
So this is kind of a tip and kind of a me bitching about Fusion. You can make folders and you can put libraries in there. There's no way to get a folder into a library, a library into a folder without downloading it off of Fusion, uploading it into the folder, and then deleting the old copy of it. But
that is super annoying.
It's super annoying. But come on. How long have we had file systems in computers?
I mean, that is a gripe. You should get fucking Justin on here, Justin Gray on here to just Fusion's file system in general just fucking sucks. I should be able to select a file and hit the delete key and have it delete. Shouldn't have to right click delete that fucking thing. Anyway, continue.
But you like if you're starting over from scratch or you're spending time doing it, I spent I don't know 20 minutes one night just downloading all my libraries and then re-uploading them into the right folders. And it is very nice now. It's like, oh, we've got Speedio tools all under the Speedio folder. We got Hermla tools all under the Hermla folder. We've got ThreadMills all under the ThreadMill folder. Like it is nice to look at it, and it's much easier to organize that way. So I would say that if you're heading down that path of toolpath templates and standardized tools and all that, even if you don't have tools to put in them, maybe right now create your folders and create some like empty libraries that are called whatever you want them to be, and then start dragging tools into them.
Right. I like that.
Yeah.
Cool.
And then the other one, and I think a lot of people probably know this, I didn't know. Have you ever ordered from M&J Tooling?
No.
So they are on eBay, and also they have their own website, but they take in like used thread gauges. And so they have a bunch of random thread gauges for sale, and they'll calibrate them for you if you want them calibrated, all that stuff. Definitely worth a look if you're looking for some kind of oddball thread gauge. Like I needed ring gauges for like a weird optical thread, and they just happened to have them, and they were not terribly expensive, and I got them within a couple days.
Yeah, I'm looking at this. Like, I just went, they all say only one left in stock. It's like, yeah, no shit. Who's looking for a 3 1/4 12 N3 left-hand thread plug gauge?
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Go, no go.
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay. Extra long 5/8 18, extra long M20. The extra long ones are pretty sick, actually.
Oh, yeah. But they've got a bunch of really cool stuff, and their customer service is fantastic. Like I emailed them and was like, hey, this is a rush job. If I order today, will it go out today? And they're like, absolutely. Just let us know when you order it. And I was like, cool. Okay. Done.
And they buy them. So like, interesting. So you could like sell it back to them, I guess.
I assume so. Yeah. Tool buyback program. It's right in their header.
Right. Yeah. I'm looking at it right now. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. I wonder if they rent them. You know?
That I don't know.
That's kind of fascinating.
Anyway, I wanted to bring it up because I feel like I'd seen them on eBay a few times. Yeah. And never really kind of looked into it. And then I was like, I really need one of these. So I'll just buy it from here and see how it is. And super cool. Great.
Yeah, that is
great to work with.
That is like thread gauges are something that you don't really think about, like can very often get overlooked and thought when you're quoting parts or whatever. And I remember this one shop in Utah when I was still doing work for X2, like early on, we were doing like, he was doing a part and it's like, cool. He's like, oh, I don't have a gauge for it. And it's like, okay. He's like, I've made a bunch of these things already. It's like, how are you checking them? He's like, you know,
they must be good.
But he's like, I had a part, like some other random part, like the mating part, which is like, that's not the right way to do that, you know?
No.
Like, because then what ended up happening, which inevitably ends up happening is, oh, well, that one was blown out that you were checking to. So now all the shit that you made for us is made to a thread that shouldn't have it, to a part that is bad. And now we have a bunch of good, some parts are good, some parts are bad. And you're doing like really fucked up shit to try and make to rework it all together.
Yep.
Don't do that. Just buy the fucking gauge. Yeah. So that's where that is a clutch ass website, because sometimes you order gauges from like MSC or like some other, you'll wait weeks, you know? Like, and that's just not, I mean, in most cases, like, I mean, well, for like your business, especially, like,
that's just
not happening.
A no-go. Yeah.
Yeah. That's zero.
Yeah. So that, just wanted to pass that along.
Yeah. Good one.
All right. What have you been researching this week?
God, nothing. I feel like nothing. I feel like my entire brain capacity has been just eaten up with this stupid ass project. And not making money. Though there's this, I got a tattoo in New York City.
Oh.
I'm showing it to you. That's sick. My arm's so fucking hell swollen, but
it looks great, but it's so weird. It's not weird, but it fits the style of the rest of your body so well that, like, when you sent me the picture, I almost was like, wasn't that always there? Like that?
Yeah. So the interesting thing was I hit the guy up on Instagram. His name's Henbo, and he works in the same shop. He owns the shop that the guy that I normally go to works in, but he's in the UK doing visa stuff right now, whatever. So I was like, well, I wanted a tattoo from him. So I was like, well, this is a good opportunity. I feel like I won't be cheating on Mike this way. And he was like, cool, email this, and like Jen will take care of it. And it's like, who the fuck is Jen? And so his wife used to be like a stage production manager for like Katy Perry or whatever, like pre-COVID times. So she would manage, and like really lock in these like $2 million shows. And now he like runs his business more or less, like answers emails and all this other bullshit. And I'm like, oh, I was like, what is she like? And he's like, she's looking for other clients, whatever. And I'm like, and it's kind of cheap. It's like $1,000 a month or something like that. And I was supposed to talk to her today. I didn't have time, so I'll talk to her tomorrow. But like, really, just having somebody to be like, oh hey, yes, like that's monitoring my emails or whatever, and just like firing shit back to customers or potential customers that like I just drop, like, so I don't drop the fucking ball, would be huge. Pretty interesting. And he's like, that was pretty efficient, wasn't it? I was like, it kind of was like the most efficient tattoo getting experience that I've had. Cause she's like, all right, will this time work? No. What about this time? All right, done, locked in, fucking send the deposit here, boom, boom, boom. And we're done. So that's not really research really, but like that's close as I got. Other than that, like I ate a really good steak. I was thinking about food some more and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
But no, there's been nothing going on.
Awesome. Obviously HyperMill, I've been watching a ton of videos and
yeah,
going through the learning documents and all of that. Someone, actually I forgot, commented on our last episode on Spotify, which I forgot that there was comments there, and said, have I considered EdgeCam, and that it does a lot of things I had talked about. But to answer that question, and I actually did a little research on it, not really. I'm not super interested in anything that Hexagon owns at this point, mainly because I don't want to deal with a giant company like that right now. And like, especially when they own so many offerings in the space, it gets kind of muddled in terms of support and all that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I think this is a Spree.
EdgeCam?
Yeah. I think this is the new version of a Spree.
Is it really? Oh.
Yeah, I think. Unless a Spree Edge is something different. Oh, a Spree Edge is something different.
Yeah, I think so.
Also a fucking Hexagon project.
Yeah, and I believe they also own SurfCam too.
What? Ew, gross. Disgusting.
Yeah, I'm fairly certain that that's part of their portfolio now too. Yeah, they own AlphaCam, Cabinet Vision, EdgeCam, SurfCam, WorkNC, Visi. I don't even see.
Dude, Hexagon, Temu, fucking Autodesk, you mean? What the fuck?
Oh, man. You're going to piss some people off at Hexagon.
Oh, no. What are they going to do? Like, I guess I do have a Spree.
Right.
But whatever.
So, no, I hadn't really, but I did research it a little bit after he left that comment, because I was like, I honestly hadn't even really heard of it.
I just could not imagine having a fucking piece of software that's like that has such a small community that like you can say it on here and it's like I've never fucking heard of that thing.
Right.
You know? Like that does not sound chill. Like and some of those things like the software might be fantastic, but the fucking post processing is what kills you every time, you know? You make the most beautiful toolpaths in the world. If I can't get it out of the fucking cam software and onto my machine, who cares? Doesn't matter.
Right. And I think that kind of goes hand in hand with user base. Like I knew going into HyperMill, I'm like, I know multiple people who are running C250s off of HyperMill. Yeah. So I know they have a post that works incredibly well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing. But those are the big, research items. It was a lot of HSFlex configuration, HyperMill stuff. I mean, just more of the same at this point. Kind of, I'm trying to get all of this stuff to a point where when I go on leave, I feel comfortable with it. Like I don't feel like I'm like leaving any loose threads or anything like that. So
yeah, so you don't make yourself more frantic by accident when Brad's like, "Hey, what's going on here?"
Yeah, exactly. And I wanted to get in a position with HyperMill that I'm going to have a lot of time at home with like a baby sleeping or just like needing to be held. And it's like if I can sit here and start working on my tool database and stuff, great. Yeah, that'd be great. I can start getting all that stuff sorted. So.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah. Alrighty, man.
Sick.
Well, that wraps it up, man. I really appreciate you joining me.
Yeah.
As always.
Quick one, baby.
And big thanks to new Patreon members, Ed, FDFab, and Tim. Y'all make this show possible. And I will talk to you all next week.